As students, we all have to study, but when you have to do this every day, it can leave you feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and burnt out. Continue watching to find out how I study consistently while avoiding all of these things. Hi guys, my name is Liddy and I'm a UK-based medical student. I run this channel with my friend Hazal and we use it to document our lives to becoming doctors and also share student tips along the way. With exam season approaching, many of us are in a situation where we have no choice but to study consistently and practically every day to prepare for these upcoming exams. But if we're all being honest, it can be very difficult to keep this momentum going when you're hit with fatigue, being burnt out with all the work you have to do, and this momentum does end up fizzling out. But don't worry, because in this video I'll be sharing my top tips to help you guys prevent this from happening and to ensure that you can keep the momentum going in time for exam. Tip number one is to discover you. And to discover you, you need to know the when, the what, and the how. There is lots of information out there on exactly how to revise, the many different study techniques, and endless opinions on exactly what to do. However, none of this matters if you're unaware of exactly what works for you as an individual. It's not about what works for me, it's not about what works for your friend, it's not about what works for that popular study tuber you enjoy watching, it's about what works for you. So you need to spend time discovering exactly how you work best so that you can do so accordingly. And the thought process of when, what, how will really help you do this. So let's get started with when. Figure out what time is best for you to study. Some people like me are morning birds, other people are evening owls and prefer to study later on in the day. Reflect on your personal cardinal rhythm so that you avoid working during times of the day in which you are most likely to be unproductive. For example, I personally would not allocate an intense study session for when I get back from university, because when I get back from university I tend to be drained, I tend to be tired and unable to fully concentrate. So what I might do is, if I need to work intensely about a particular topic, I will split it during the day while I'm at university and in the mood of studying. I'll get some work done during my breaks, during my lunch, because I'm in the state of studying, and this helps me be more productive. So when you figure out which times during the day that you are naturally more productive, you can adapt your study schedule and your routine to this. A good understanding of your lifestyle, your academic commitments, and how to work around this in order to get regular studying done can mitigate against study fatigue and can also supercharge how efficient you are in your studying. Once you know when you'll be studying, then we can step into what exactly will we be studying. It is vital that you know exactly what work needs to be completed that specific day, or you'll end up using your lack of organization as an excuse to not get any work done. And if your goal is to do work every day or consistently or regularly, this is something that we definitely want to avoid. So yeah, moving on to what, address exactly what your academic goals are for that particular term. Is it to complete all of your notes? Is it to do exam prep for an exam coming up? You need to decide this for yourself. And I think one thing that can help is this quick low impact activity. You can just draw up a quick table with 3 columns. One column should say goals, the next column should say personal deadlines, and the third column should say intentional steps. Make a note of your goals and then jot down a time frame in which you would like to get this done, a personal deadline. We'll be using this personal deadline as a source of urgency, as a source of motivation, rather than a source of stress. Then we're going to lay out very intentional steps that you'll be taking, that you are committing yourself to take in order to get those particular tasks done. I usually then take this a step further and use this understanding of what I need to complete this term as a foundation to then create my weekly timetables or my daily to-do list. For me, I dedicate every Sunday to kind of sitting down, having an entire overview of what activities I have coming up, what educational commitments I have, and then this allows me to really build a weekly timetable that I can then refer to if I'm trying to study every day as a personal goal. Organizing my week ahead in this manner and having this overview ensures that number one, you don't miss any deadlines or allow work to pile up, which does reduce the feeling of feeling overwhelmed. Number two, being intentional about deadlines coming up means that you can distribute the work across different days in advance in order to prevent burnout. And number three, as you go about your day-to-day activities as a student, when it comes to sitting down at the library at your desk, you have confidence in exactly what needs to be completed, which actually encourages consistent work because you know what end goal you are working towards. And next up is how. Figure out exactly how you study best. Is it in 4-hour chunks or 30-minute intervals? Do you want to listen to music as you study, or does that distract you? Figuring out can really help you mitigate against procrastination. If you let the distractions seep in, the work does pile up and you end up having to study even more in the long term, which I'm sure no student wants. Another thing to consider is, do you want to work around friends, a study group, or would you prefer to work by yourself for certain study sessions? It is so important to have some type of accountability as a source of motivation when you have to study regularly. But note, having an accountability buddy is not necessarily interchangeable with working with people. Some people generally work better alone and, without a study group, without a study buddy. But that doesn't mean that you can't still support your peers, your colleagues, your friends by being an accountability buddy, perhaps virtually or digitally, just checking up on your friends, messaging them to see if they're on top of work, if they're struggling with anything, and how you can help from afar. When you're studying regularly, it does become a very tedious process that can suck the living joy out of you. But one thing that does allow me to stay consistent when I have exams coming up, apart from stress of wanting to pass and not fail the year, is a bit of change. Introducing a bit of change here and there. First type of change that I try to introduce is internal change. As people, we're always changing, we're always evolving, so it is okay if your study technique or your study routine adapts with you. Our study preferences tend to reflect us as people from time to time, so even if that one study routine, was a thing helping you get through all of your topics effectively, if it's no longer working, be open to some internal change, be open to adapting and trying something new. Definitely try not to panic and allow it to put you off studying. And the other main type of change is, of course, external change. This can refer to people you're studying with. Sometimes I study with Hazal, sometimes I study with my other friends, sometimes I may study with my siblings, sometimes I may want to study by myself. Changing this from time to time is very refreshing, and it also means that everything seems less monotonous. Change could also be music. Sometimes I like to have lo-fi music in the background, sometimes I like raindrops, sometimes I need a bit of silence to concentrate on this particularly difficult topic. Another thing you could change is scenery. I absolutely love doing study crawls, which is when you move around different study locations, perhaps per day, perhaps per every 2 hours, and changing study locations can also bring, a bit of pizzazz to the long study day you have ahead. If you want to take this a step further, well, I don't know what's happening in my voice. If you want to take this a step further, what you can do is actually associate different subjects or different topics with a particular location. So if I'm doing pharmacology on a Monday, I might go to the university library. If I'm doing anatomy on Tuesday, I might stay home and study at my desk. Tip number 3 is sustainability. If you want to do anything for a long period of time, you need to make it sustainable. Sustainability is the key to longevity. That's why it is so important that your study routine, your weekly schedule reflects and screams sustainability. Your current work habits, can you keep it up for the next few weeks leading up to exams? Getting only 4 hours of sleep a day or not giving yourselves enough breaks, is that realistic in allowing you to be at a healthy state to, perform at your best and be your most productive self in the next few weeks leading up to exams? This is definitely something you need to think about. Do not force yourself to do, 12, 16 hours of work every day. This is not realistic. It is not about quantity, it's more about quality. Less about how many hours you're putting in and more so the way in which you are revising. Prioritize efficiency over intensity. A lot of the time we tend to associate the time that we put in acquiring acquiring knowledge with hard work. Once we start to consume academic information at a higher rate than we are capable of processing, it does become quite difficult to enact that information in a manner that is meaningful to your studies. Putting in more hours per day does not necessarily correlate with boosting your grades. Work smart, not hard. It's about doing a little bit every day. Because your work habits need to be sustainable, the organization surrounding your work habits should be sustainable as well. That's why it's important to create a schedule or a system for yourself, a study system for yourself that you can genuinely stick to on a weekly basis or on a daily basis without getting consistently burnt out. If you're finding yourself in a situation where you are being consistently burnt out, you are consistently overwhelmed, you are consistently facing study fatigue, you really need to reflect on exactly how you are studying and how you are structuring your revision on a day-to-day basis. Is it sustainable with your life? Is it sustainable with healthy habits you need to maintain while studying, like eating well and sleeping well as well? The matter of fact is, if you're not in a healthy state of mind to do work, you will obviously not be able to concentrate on the task at hand, which will lead to you drifting and also facing procrastination. And if you're dealing with this every single day, how are you meant to study every day, or how are you meant to study consistently and regularly? Hence, it's important to implement realistic work hours, 15-minute study breaks within your study session, taking a lunch break, getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, whatever it may be. You are human, so treat yourself like human. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to be filling yourself up with these healthy habits on a daily basis so that you can then perform at your best when it comes to sitting down and smashing your revision. Be sensitive to yourself and understand and listen to when your body needs some time to relax and rejuvenate from intense study sessions. I was definitely very guilty of this during A-Levels, and this is something I definitely regret. I feel like I could have still gotten my A stars and A's without allowing my mental health to suffer during A-Levels. So please take this as a sign, take this as a lesson that that looking after yourself can coexist with working hard to try get those grades you want and to try pass that exam. You can do both, they can both coexist. Hazal and I will be releasing more revision/exam videos over the next upcoming weeks. Comment down below what more you want to see, and also turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on anything. If you would like last minute exam tips to save your grades, then click the video that'll be on screen right now. We'll be sure to see you guys for a new video next time. Bye!